This video is brought to you by Roofing Business Partner, AI-powered voice agent with Street View verification, weather-aware scheduling, and drive time optimization for roofing companies. Go check roofingbusinesspartner.com, link in the description. So describe to me your relationship with a corporate BCR early on.
The company culture was unreal.
People come to me all the time, it's like, hey, I don't have a good experience with the franchise model.
And everyone's like, no, get the hell out of here. No. And I'm like, awesome. Like, I'm going to go bankrupt. Like, what did I get?
I've heard several stories about people buying companies or selling and then getting their company back. And usually it's a big fight.
That was one of those moments of like, fuck. Like, I don't look at it like, get out of here, buddy. I would look at it like, what's this guy doing?
I've been in one of those before. It sucks.
That's the sad part of it, I guess.
Today on the podcast, we are continuing conversation about PE firms. A couple of weeks ago, I published, I believe, Jason Reisman. Is that the one you commented, Jason Reisman? Or
I believe that or the Monarch.
Monarch. So it was then a word commented saying, I also have a story and it's not always roses and success. There's also other side of the story. So then word came all the way from Arkansas to share his side of the story, his experience working with the PE firms. Thank you so much for flying in. How was the flight?
It was an easy flight. It's much colder here than it is in Arkansas, though. That's for sure.
How was the sauna this morning?
That was... Let's see, if it was 50 minutes in the sauna, that was probably 45 minutes longer than usual for me. So, but I survived.
Hey, it's not that cold. It's only -5, so it's actually easy day.
Yeah.
But no workout today because I have nursing little injury, which is you're safe. Let's start with your journey, brother. How did you get in the roofing industry? What was your first company or first experience?
So, My journey to roofing actually started with gutters. Okay, so I spent about 6 or so years in pharmaceutical sales. So I worked for corporate America, and it was a good living in Arkansas. $100,000 a year is a lot of money. So I had, let's say, 6 years of that, and I kind of thought, well, I want to invest this somewhere, but also I'm interested in home services trades. I don't know. I could see the
How did you
trend.
go from pharmaceuticals to gutters?
I know, yeah. It's a weird deal. So, like, one of my best friends actually worked for Leaf Filter, right?
Oh, okay.
And I remember thinking, like, what the hell? Like, what is that? Like, is that a gimmick?
How much money was he making?
Good money. As far as I didn't know exactly, but I knew he was making probably close to what I was making. And I was thinking, like, well, I work for like a Fortune 500 company, and you're selling things that go on top of gutters that you don't have to have, I don't think. So I didn't really get it. And but I love the concept. I was like, well, if I wanted to get into something like that, what do you have to do? Because I was thinking all you really need is to warehouse the material and find someone to sell it and find someone to install it. So that was kind of the first approach I took in the home services world. I thought, well, I can be the investor here and I can buy the materials, put them in a mini storage or something, and my buddy Zach could be the one to sell, as he's already doing anyways. And the rest is history. As far as I was surprised. It was all retail too. So it was the sales process, the sales conversation, because, really and truly, like in pharmaceutical sales, you're not really a salesperson. You're more of a marketing rep, right? But I felt comfortable in the cold call. I felt comfortable in a random conversation with someone I don't know. So I don't know. It definitely evolved from that. But I mean, we were doing a lot of gutters and a lot of gutter protection, the covers on top of it. And I mean, if your average ticket was, which this is some years ago, but I don't know, $4,500 ticket maybe. That's a pretty good sale.
That's good.
It's pretty good. That was for gutters and covers. Same. You can install those things pretty quickly. The math works out pretty well on them. But I started doing some work for roofing companies, just random gutter installs, kind of keep the crews busy.
B2B.
Yeah. And then I just realized, these guys that I'm working with, they're doing a $25,000 roof, and I'm doing $2,000 gutters, But us doing a good job on the gutters would make their company look better, you know what I mean? So I was just like, I don't know. I feel like we were really good at lead generation. I feel like I was a big fan of mimicking what the big dogs were already doing as far as Leaf Guard, Leaf Filter. They are essentially a marketing and lead gen company, and the byproduct is gutters on your house. So Yeah, that was kind of what started. That was my thought of I should probably look towards roofing. And about that same time, I was in an investment group at a DFW, and I had no clue. I didn't know anything about roofing at all, but I just knew there was a lot of guys in the room that were in roofing, and I was like, and I don't know, maybe roofing. There's something probably going on here, and I knew since I started the gutter company from scratch and built all the systems and processes, I thought I could do this again for roofing, but my first thought was if you're in roofing, it's probably high volume. I can only imagine material costs are going to be a factor as far as if I can get with a big group or maybe a franchise that might offer not necessarily the systems and processes, but more so just the buying power. That was my biggest thought was I'd get better buying power. So I didn't want to start from scratch. And I spoke with a few companies. I considered acquiring a company. I also thought, well, I should probably learn the world of roofing first before I tried to acquire. And that's what led me down the path of franchising. And I can't really remember exactly how. I don't know if it was a friend of a friend that knew the founder of Best Choice Roofing, but there's quite a few franchises out there. There's you got Mighty Dog. I think Honest Abe is still around.
Why, if you already knew how to build a business and you already have a gutter company, why not go all in and create another company? Why did you feel like you want to franchise? Like short path, like quick?
I think the shortcuts. I was kind of wanting to. I wanted to get into it without paying the dummy tax, because in the gutter world, if you mess up a job, it's a couple $100 material. But in the roofing world, mess up a job, it's maybe $5,000 or $6,000 material, right? So I don't know. It just seemed like it'd be an easier or quicker path. Not that I wasn't looking for easy. I just thought, well, I would rather learn from someone who's already done it and avoid those obstacles that I did come across in the gutter world. And that was what set Best Choice Roofing at the time apart. Is I guess there's Bumble Roofing too. Anyway, all these companies, for the most part, in the franchise world, and this is a lot, not just roofing, but a lot of franchises in general. It's just a really good marketing company, right? And that's where they start at. They start with, we're good at marketing, we're good at lead generation. Ooh, we should spin off and do this. We should do roofing, we should do gutters, we should do siding, we should do windows. But that was the difference is that, the founder of Best Choice Roofing, it was Wayne Holloway, he actually built it from the ground up. Like it was a legitimate roofing company, They were actually, they had the roofing industry knowledge. So that was a huge selling point to me at the time. I was like, well, I'd rather learn.
So
from someone like that.
2022, you decided to buy Best Choice Roofing franchise.
That's right.
What's initial investment in something like that cost?
I want to say it was roughly franchise fees as far as to buy the territories is about $150,000.
So you paid them 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
How much royalty?
So it's a 6% royalty as far as 6% of gross. And
Gross. Wow.
yeah.
So you pay 150,000. You pay 6% on top of that from gross sales, which is every permit, every dumpster, all your fees.
That's right. Yeah.
And what do you get in return?
So when things first got started, I think the biggest thing that I got was I felt like I don't know. I guess like a solid business partner. As far as it felt good knowing like, well, hey, I'm learning the ropes here, but this guy knows. You know what I mean? I kind of had that vibe to it.
Would you say they were acting like your mentor, or like what was that look like?
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. As far as I kind of when I bought the franchise, I guess you kind of pay for the mentorship. That's what it felt like, which was okay at the time. I was like, well, I had a lot of confidence walking into an unknown. I kind of thought, well, if I get this wrong, at least I got someone behind me that's done this a million times before. I mean, just think it's like if they're, they had branches that were installing 20 plus roofs a week. So if I'm worried about doing one or two, it's like, oh, this guy does it every day, So that was nice. And that's honestly, I don't know what the other franchises can offer compared to that at the time,
So describe to me your relationship with the corporate BCR early on.
Early on,
How much support, how much training did you get, stuff like that?
Oh, it was minimal. I feel like I looked at it like this has to work, right? Like I went into this like this is going to work one way or another. And so whether they gave me a really good onboarding or whatever at the time, it's like this, I have to figure this out. And I remember I used to tell a story all the time. when we first got started, essentially I spend all this money and I'm risking everything, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I just essentially bought a door knocking company, and I was like, that's fine. Let's get this going. I've
It was
never.
so door knocking was the lead gen.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What did they do door knocking, or was it all you?
Well, starting out, it was me and a few people. As far as that was part of the training. Is like that's how that was the main lead channel is just knocking doors. But at the time, I was like, well, that's just kind of how everyone does because I'm looking from a distance at DFW and the DFW marketplace. It's all about pounding doors, driving revenue. But I do remember when we first got this territory, it was like political season, and I didn't know that. So I'm in Little Rock just knocking doors like crazy, and everyone's like, no, get the hell out of here. No, no, no. And I'm like, awesome. Like, I'm going to go bankrupt. Like, what did I get? And yeah, so that was, I don't want to say it was a rough couple of months starting out. It was, from getting a bunch of no's, we got that out of the way real fast, and I realized, oh, we're getting all the no's right now because they're getting canvassers from all these politicians at their door. So that was a weird start to things. But yeah, I went hard in the paint from the word go. Like I had no options. So I do think that, honestly, I hope that the Arkansas market made an impact on the other franchises that came on board afterwards. Because I think I was officially the second franchisee to officially buy a territory. But yeah, as far as there was probably a lot of headbutting along the way, but never like, I don't think that.
How did the business do in the first 2 years?
We did great. So I want to say, and these are also like rough numbers, but I want to say year one we did right at 5 million, and then year two maybe it was close to 7 million. And sprinkle a few storms in here and there, but $5 million is a hell of a lot of revenue for a guy that didn't know what a shingle was, pretty much.
Do you think you could do that without them?
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, when I see other companies that struggle right now to even get to a couple $1 million, I'm just like, what are you doing? I know it's okay if you have a one-man show. It's if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I don't know. I see that because I see those ads all the time too, where it's like, hey, we can get your company to $2 million. It's like, man, I think a 5-minute conversation can get you to that. Just wake up earlier.
200 roofs a year.
Yeah.
So Best Choice Roofing got acquired by EP in 2024. What changes came right away? What did you notice?
Yeah, so it was Bright Star Capital Partners. That's I believe out of New York. Well, it was a shock at first. Actually, I kind of thought that could happen because I'd seen other companies that had been acquired, and honestly, it was. I don't know if that's at the back of my mind, but it was never much of a rumor. It wasn't like, oh, we're getting acquired. It was nothing like that. Then it kind of happened out of nowhere, and the temperature in the room definitely changed. Honestly, I went to a lot of these conferences as far as Best Choice Roofing would have, and the fire in the room and the energy in the room was wild. Honestly, from an outsider standpoint, the company culture was unreal. And, cult-like following, right, for all the employees. But at the end of the day, you had people that were, delivering pizzas one week, and now they're making $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month. It made life-changing money. So you can't help but cheer that on. You know what I mean? And I know that each office has to kind of build their own culture too, as far as build your own team culture. And we had a really good team culture. I don't know. That would be the biggest thing as far as if I were buying this massive company, I would think that's the most valuable thing, right? Is the team culture and the company culture. But I don't know. It's almost like that went out the window from, the word go.
When did you decide to sell back, or what was your thought?
Oh, no, it wasn't a decision actually. So, let's see. They were acquired in August. I'm pretty sure. I think it was August. They were officially. Maybe it was the announcement was in August, as far as acquisitions. So that's whenever they, Bright Star purchased.
And at that time, they were like 300 million a year.
I believe so. As far as company wide,
yeah.
That's franchise and the corporate locations and the partner locations, because they had you had corporate loan stores that were 100% corporate, and you had some partnership stores that were like a 50-50 partnership.
And you were a partner?
I was actually a franchise. So I believe it started.
So they have a franchise, corporate, and partner.
Yes, but I believe they had to follow that kind of progress to get to the franchising point. You know what I mean? Like it's like, well, they had to show it would be a scalable model, I believe.
Yeah.
So they did some partner locations, said, hey, we can replicate this. Now let's go nationwide. And I think the franchise, the idea behind that, in my opinion, would have been to get that nationwide reach.
How many franchisee locations they have now?
Right now, I have no clue. At the time, I could be wrong on this. It was 40 or so at least, 40 or 50 possibly, nationwide. They partnered with the company though, as far as on the expansion, which that's pretty common. They'll get like franchise fast lane, I think so it was, and they're the ones that kind of the third party that brings these people in to pitch, hey, this would be a good franchise, this is a good territory. But the franchising is, to my knowledge, is over. They're not. Last I heard, there's no more franchising going to happen. So that was in August when they got acquired. And also, all of this that I'm talking about right now, just a quick disclaimer would be that there's active litigation and arbitration going on. So if I feel like there's anything that, I won't give any trade secrets, anything weird. I know a lot of roof companies do the same thing anyways. We all use same CRMs, same processes, it feels like. But anything that I say on this is don't take it as a statement of fact, right? It'll all get handled in the court systems. But let it be noted that I'm showing up with receipts everywhere I go, right?
So what did you sign in 2024? What kind of letter of intent or what did you sign?
Yeah, so in August...
You wanted out, right?
Yes. So in August is when they were acquired, and that begun the unofficial conversation of, hey, just so you know, we're probably going to be changing some things up. And that's not a good conversation on my end because I was like, oh my gosh, I've invested so much into this because I took a ton of the profits and kept buying territories and acquiring the entire state, right? We had 3 office locations, a lot of overhead as far as we had a lot of team members. We were a big roofing company, right? So when you hear, hey man, things are changing, we don't know what's going to change, but things are changing, be ready for it. And then it becomes like what's going to change, So between August, September, October-ish, I guess August till the end of the year really is when it was just kind of like a weird, no one had heard anything, no one knows anything. And then the official conversation of, hey, we're looking to acquire, come on down to Nashville, we'd like to have that conversation with you. And that would have been in January, I believe. This is when I went to Nashville.
Acquire your company?
Yes. Yeah, they were going to acquire, it would, BCR Contractors of Arkansas would be the LLC. And they would acquire the entire state, all the territories we acquired. So that was the first, essentially legitimate starting point of we want to acquire you. I met with, the founder and a vice president at the time. And I want to say maybe a month later is when I got the official LOI, the letter of intent. And that took about a month back and forth as far as, just random. So
they sent you a letter of intent?
Yes.
And then they sent you a team after?
What's that?
They came to you after that, right?
Oh, so the timeline of events would have been, let's see, if it was January, we first officially talked about it. If it was a month later, I got the LOI. It might have been one more month after that it was fully executed. So it was negotiated back and forth and signed off on by both parties. Also, if these dates are not exactly right, I do have a timeline of events listing each thing specifically. But so then the letter of intent, and once that's signed and executed, that's when you officially start the due diligence, I'd say. Even though it had kind of already started, and all this was new to me. I'm looking online. All I knew is even when I got into the roofing conversation, when I first got the franchise, the first thing I did was got an accountant. Right? I was like, oh hell no, this is going to be high revenue. I'm not going to rely on just Dan Ward and QuickBooks. I need someone else to, So I've always thought like that. I had legal counsel and an accountant ready to roll at all times. So same thing here. When due diligence starts, I'm like, man, I don't know anything about this. But I did thankfully have a handful of mentors I reached out to that had been in similar conversations. And I will say, and these are guys that have just, $100 million plus probably. And between the handful of them, the conversation was always kind of around, double check everything, right? These guys are huge companies. This is what they do for a living. You're just a small town guy. They don't care. They do not care at all. And I'm thinking, no. I mean, but just I don't know if it's the salesman or just the human in me. It's like you want to kind of think you've got some trust built up, and it's like, yeah, that's for the most part false. Like that's these guys are here. That's how they make their money, right? They buy cheap, build up, shed some weight, boom, sell off. So that's why I'm kind of in the background. I always thought that. Um, yeah. So let's see. I guess all
How much
total.
stress did you have at the time? Because I've heard several stories about people buying companies or selling and then getting their company back. And usually it's a big fight. Usually it's so they wanted to buy you. Did you want to sell? Like what was going through your mind?
So
Were you
oddly,
afraid?
no, I was honestly excited because, everybody thinks like, all the financial win is like, not really. That was the least of my concerns at the time. My thought was, cool, like we can offer benefits to our employees, possibly. We can scale, we can do this, we can do that, we can offer better training, better onboarding. I just looked at that on that side to be good. And also from the homeowner standpoint, it's just like, man, I don't know. Like in your mind, you think private equity might be like a blank checkbook. I don't know. That's just what you see online. It's like maybe they're going to pour money into marketing efforts. So I was pretty excited. I thought there was going to be more opportunities for all the members of the team. I kind of viewed it as there being more, I don't know, visibility or brand awareness possibly at a statewide level. We were doing fine as it was, but I just kind of thought that can't hurt any, you know? So that, I don't know if I would say it was trust, but it was a lot of excitement, you know? So let's see here. We're in due diligence during all this. And due diligence, I'm sure you've heard from other companies too. It's just like, it's not a quick process, obviously. It's just back and forth with attorneys, back and forth with lawyers. And
Accountants.
it's almost like two sides, like the attorney side and then the accounting side. And I want to say I played an active role in all of that, but I was mostly just at the table while it was going on, not actually physically at the table, but on the Zoom calls. So yeah, that went on for months, you know, back and forth. And then I don't know, maybe a month or so after the LOI and the due diligence had started, that's when they sent. We had a asset purchase agreement, an APA was sent over, which that would not be considered, I guess, fully executed until the business is sold, right? So I mean, I bet there was at least 6 or 7 months of due diligence all total tied into this at that point, which is a long time, but there's a lot going on there, you know? It's a lot of moving parts. And not only was a lot of moving parts, but it was also like this was, you know,
Did you question their intentions to buy?
no, actually, I mean, at the end of the day, I was thinking, I've got an LOI, I'm done, you know? And even all the conversations at that point, there would be nothing. I mean, at one point, we had a transition team come out. So, like, I was like, why would corporate send a transition team in for an entire week, you know, looking over real estate, new office locations, new leases,
Do you think
cancel?
they were just dragging time, like delaying, or do you think they
No, I
wanted
don't.
to buy it back or no?
Yeah, I do believe so. I mean, as far as it's a very valuable territory. I mean, the Arkansas market's a hot market.
So what was their excuse to back out?
You know, I'm trying to make the exact verbiage because it is a little bit conflicting because during the accounting due diligence, you know, if an accountant, they're talking back and forth for months, and then at the very end, they're like, well, we need to get to a quality of variance, or I'm very sure quality of variance earnings number. And I've heard about all the accounting terms there are, and I was like, I don't know what the hell that is, you know, like I don't know what that is. But it's like, well, the books are there, so I'm sure it can. You guys do your accounting wizardry or whatever you got to do. It just figure it out. And that was pretty much like, oh, we can't come to a quality of earnings number. So yeah, and then without that, you know, we'd have to. I can't remember what was the term they used. Like something like we'd have to
If they find
get
a
it
reason, they'll find a
yeah,
reason.
yeah. It was something to the effect of like, well, we couldn't go to a bank and get it financed, even though the LOI, I believe it said something to the effect of, you know, they won't be financing it. So it's a little contradicting on that.
So how are you fighting them now? Are they suing you, or are you suing them, or it's a both?
Yeah. So let's see. After, to my knowledge, or to my, I guess it felt like a rug pull a little bit, right? As far as, you know, when you got leases you're canceling, and then out of nowhere it's like, hey, we're gonna take you over. We'll just come in there, we'll move in, and take over the market. I was like, that is a massive change in the conversation. But my biggest thought was like, I mean, we were a big roofing company. There's a lot of homeowners that, I mean, we did, let's see, I don't know the exact number, over 1,000 roofs, you know, that's a lot of warranty. You know what I mean? And if a homeowner calls, I feel like I took that stuff. I always thought, I mean, there's you know how it goes. Like, there's a lot of times you do a roof and have to do something extra. You're not nickel and diming people. I truly did feel like I wasn't the two chucks in a truck, right? And we built the culture of the team off of that. It's like, just do the right thing. And you don't have to ask me, just do the right thing. And we did that with our install crews also. It was like there was never a question like I would never want to cut a corner that is going to bite you in the long term, or even on the safety side of things. It's like just do the right thing every time, and we won't have that many callbacks, you know. So either way, I hated it from that standpoint. I just thought I don't know what's going to happen with the warranty work or the Arkansas homeowners or the trust they placed in us, you know, because we were there for I would say two major storms. And those are those things like I've been in a lot of different fields, and it's like when you have a tornado come through there and I think we did 70 tarps within a few days period, just out there tarping roofs, not charging, just, free tarp jobs. Like that matters, to those homeowners. And it's like, we're not out here chasing contracts. We're there on their roof. We're risking our lives to help secure their goods, And, I just look back, in all the jobs I've ever had, I've never had messages from, the end customer that said like, thank you so much or whatever. But you get those in roofing because they put that trust in you, right? So I don't know, all that stuff, that was all just kind of come rushing to me. And I was thinking, that's the sad part of it, I guess.
Where does the legal stand now?
Oh yeah, sorry, legal part. So we're in arbitration. Surprise, surprise. And
I've been in one of those before. It sucks.
Yeah.
Can't say much, but behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Yeah, this is my first time being in any kind of arbitration. Honestly, I've been like pretty straight laced guy. I've never had a lot of, even in the roofing, over 1,000 roofs. I think we might have had just maybe 2 we had to take to court over non-payment or something like that. So we weren't like super litigious either. And now it turns out that, that's all we have right now is just litigation like wild. We're in the court systems and in arbitration right now as of today.
How did this situation affected your employees?
Oh, well, overnight, let's see. I don't know what the exact number was, but essentially everyone was laid off overnight, right? As far as that's what we had to do though. It was, I think the biggest thing was, losing access. When you see that message that says, your account's been deleted, that's wild. Like if you came here today and it's just like, oh, your Gmail account's deleted, all your access is gone. That's going to be a hectic day,
That's sad. As far as homeowners go, what should homeowners know about their contracts and their warranties?
Yeah, so, from the word go, we were immediately directing them to, which, I think it's just a corporate number they have. And that was, our legal counsel, like, hey, that's all you can do, because, like, it's a weird deal where we can't do warranty work if we're barred from operating as that, right? It was an odd deal. So it's a question mark. We direct them to the corporate offices.
So what's your move after that? Where are you going now? Are you going to start a roofing company?
Right. Yeah. It's a gotcha question now. So really my biggest thing is I guess it's been, I don't know how many months now. It's been months and months of the arbitration and litigation side of things. I don't know. I don't know if there's an end in sight as far as that goes, but I feel like I'm fighting for the Arkansas homeowners, right? But I'm also fighting for my employees that I had, as far as there's a lot of people that were displaced, a lot of people in the dark right now.
Because they need a job. If you start a roofing company, you can hire them, you can take care of the homeowners.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. With your experience looking at the industry now, we have so many private equities. You see the Stokes, you see Monarch Roofing, you see all of them. If you would start a company today, do you see yourself selling to private equity 2-3 years? Do you think private equity is good, evil? And what do you think of, like, I guess my question is franchise model versus PE model.
Right. No, I feel like I know people that private equity has been a blessing, right? And I think there are good private equity partners. And I'm sure this private equity partner was good for others, as far as I think it was just, in my opinion, maybe it was that odd hybrid model we had going. I don't know, but I don't think negatively of private equity. I really don't.
Would you franchise again?
I don't think I would. No, I don't think I'd go that route because you just lose so much control, And I think that it's very possible to build, scale, and sell, right? Like absolutely, you can do that. But with a franchise, you can build and scale, but you really can't sell, right? As far as I'm sure all the agreements have some kind of buyback option on there, or they get to control who buys and sells. So then it's just a matter of build, scale, and benefit somebody else,
I want to ask our audience because over the years, maybe because I run Roofing Insights YouTube channel and I know so many people, I look at many deals. Like people come to me all the time, it's like, hey, I don't have a good experience with the franchise model. Here's what they charged me. I remember the dog one, Dog Roofing, Mighty Dog. Someone franchised them, wanted to get out after like a year. They're like, hey, we pay, I think it was like 7 or 10% marketing fee. We pay a royalty fee. We pay this. I'm like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like you can literally start your company and put that in the marketing. You don't need franchise. Like it's that name is not that cool. I mean, I get it. It might get some recognition. I'm not saying that Mighty Dog is a bad franchise, but I've seen quite a few of those that just did not do well. My question to my audience: if anybody watching who has success with a franchise model. Maybe you invested in franchise and it worked really well for you. You did not know anything about roofing. You got in, you make a lot of money, you're happy. I would like to interview someone who share true success story because so far I have not met one person who's like to the moon and back. I'm standing with this. Like, if you
Yeah.
franchise like McDonald's, I know people even in our city, there's like six, seven, six,
Oh,
seven
wow. There we go.
McDonald's is
Yeah.
right. Like, and they keep buying,
Yeah.
like they'll get one location, another, like, fast food industry and
Yeah.
known for that. In the roofing industry, I'm yet to meet someone who is a big advocate for that model. It's
Yeah.
usually really good on the one side of the deal. It's good for the company who runs franchise.
Right. It's weird because we had some really good years as far as a lot of people made money. It was nice. I just feel like maybe in the roofing world in general, we're in this weird, zeitgeist right now where it's like, I don't know what that time would be because you're right. Like it's like you can find like I'm just making this up, like a Pella window guy or something, and he could have owned it for 30 or 40 years. Like you're not going to find someone that owns a roofing company franchise for 30 years. Like it would have been sold time and time again. I can imagine. Yeah, I don't know. That is odd because I feel like the roofing franchise model probably didn't start until a few years ago, right?
Because you can't really buy territory. I mean, think about like, and I talk to guys all the time. Like, someone from Jacksonville reached out. He said, Dimitri, I've been doing it for 40 years. Used to be 3 companies. Now there are 40 companies. So, like, if I have a franchise model and I go to Jacksonville, there's still 40 others. Like, you can
Yeah.
have one Chick-fil-A, one McDonald's, but if there's a 40 companies or 50 companies, 100 companies, it's like it's too easy. Like gas station or McDonald's or it's limited real estate. You can have one location here, like one plaza, but it's not. But in that one is in the roofing, it's you buying what zip code, and there's how many companies you can have in the zip code. So do you think it's oversaturated problem?
Nationwide, as far as
I mean, even in Arkansas, do you think we have too many roofers?
I mean, I don't know because you go to those small towns and you see like Joe Schmo Roofing, and surprisingly, Joe Schmo's doing $10 million. They own that town.
What about like Dallas?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that is. I mean, it's what is it? It's like thousands, 5,000 plus, something nuts.
5,000
Yeah.
plus.
But the thing, what's wild in Dallas though, what blows my mind is you got like, I mean, you got Results Roofing. They stand on the top of. It's like how's that? Like those guys are awesome. And there's a handful that are awesome
Yeah.
there out of all those thousands. It's like what are they doing different? Um,
Culture.
yeah.
What are they doing different?
That's what I love. Yeah, they got to have something like. There's a reason why people choose to work with them, right?
What advice would you give to someone approached by private equity today?
I guess I would take it from the standpoint of I want to say like I handled it as far as make sure you have your your financial and your legal side ready to roll. Don't go into it with a blind eye or trust. And again, this is just my own opinion on things, right? I don't want to make it sound like private equity is the worst thing ever. I think it's done a lot of great things. And I think we're just at the beginning of this, honestly, right? Just a few years ago when they started buying people out, the linears and the perimeters, I think they've done great. I don't know, but it appears that they've done pretty good. But I do think that maybe other private equities looked at that and said, oh, they're doing pretty good. Maybe we can do something similar. This Joe Schmo over here, he sold computers at a high level, and this guy did solar. So, hell yeah, let's put our money together and go buy a roofing company because it's a really simple process, right? There's a lot more that goes into it than just plugging a bunch of smart people in a room and figuring it out. It's like that'll get you there, I'm sure. It's just going to wipe out the team culture and kind of wipe out what got you where you're at, you know? And I just feel like in the roofing world in general, and this is from my view, from what I saw, I mean, you know, going from working in pharmaceuticals where everyone's got a college degree, everyone's wearing suit and tie, right? To the world of roofing, I mean, no one does. Like, it's like you got guys that are, you know, a lot of people that have a checkered past or whatever. I don't know, covered head to toe in tattoos, whatever it is. I don't know. It's like, and these people are making crazy money. You know, they're having great success. So it's kind of like you take all these, I don't want to say misfits, not at all, but it's like these unique individuals or people that wouldn't have got the same opportunity in corporate America. You put them all in a room, you get them to buy into the same idea, you get them to all, you know, in unison cheer the company on and want to grow, and everyone grows together. You know, it's a unique situation. And I don't think, you know, some random Harvard grad's going to step in and take that over overnight and continue that, you know?
So you bought into franchise. My next question is, what's the biggest lie that you've heard from Best Choice Roofing or during that process of investing in the franchise model?
You know,
What was overpromised?
man, I'm trying to think here. You know, honestly, I don't know if there was. I think others would have a different opinion. You know, I really do. And there might have been some things that were overpromised, underdelivered, but I just wouldn't accept that. Right? As far as, for example, I'm just making this scenario. It's like if I needed a marketing material and you were promised, oh, we got direct access to some marketing person, I would wear them out until I'm like, I need that now. You know, so I didn't really take no for an answer on some of those things. I know a lot of others had. There's a lot of people that had, you know, issues migrating or onboarding possibly, and that's everywhere you go, though. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know if I could just pinpoint one thing. I think things were a lot different on my end.
Was the moment you realized that it's not going to work out? Like, just it was a mistake, or you regret, or like, I need to change everything now?
Man, honestly, right whenever I can't really I have the exact date written down, but in the timeline of events. But whenever that call was, you know, I was expecting a closing date, right? And on that note, though, it's like, well, it's going to be a closing date that's going to impact a lot of Arkansas home, as far as in a good way. It's going to positively impact Arkansas market. It's going to impact all the employees. I was excited, right? And then that conversation of like, you know, we're going to actually we're not going to do that. Turns out we're going to not buy, because I mean, it's not like it was just a, you know, 2-day conversation. We're 6-7 months into this. And honestly, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in legal and accounting that, as far as during all that.
It's weird because I feel like, just looking from outside in, it didn't even have to be a big number. Like, if they would offer you, you know, you probably were willing to accept almost anything, like reasonable, you know, like not like
Yeah.
millions of dollars, but like, hey, I paid you this, like I've done this, give me
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing is I knew what the market was worth, but also I kind of like, I enjoyed what I did. Like it was a fun time. We had a good team. Everyone was growing. It's just good for your soul. It felt like, right? So I think that was the moment when it was just like, I mean, it was just a gut punch. I mean, I remember thinking, I don't get many gut punches in life. I've been through some weird things here and there. And it's just like, that was one of those moments of like, fuck, you know, like that's not what I'm looking for. And again, it wasn't like a thought. My thought wasn't instantly, oh man, I just missed out on a 7-figure check. My thought was, wow, this is going to impact a lot of people. And not even just in Arkansas, that's my priority, but it's just like, this is going to impact a lot of people because, I mean, I was one of the big dogs, and it's like, well, if it can happen to me, it's going to happen to a lot of others, you know? And if I was number 2, I believe, in the franchise model, I mean, there'd be 40 something more behind me. And it's like, yeah, it's wild. So there was a lot of thoughts going through my head at that moment in time.
If you could go back in time and give yourself an advice, what would it be?
Given this scenario, I would have, man, I don't know if I would have said, hey, if I knew if there was any rumblings they were going to sell, I probably would have said, oh, I want to sell. You know, I would have tried to offload it. I would try to sell to somebody because that would have maybe pushed their hand before they did the acquisition. I don't know. That's my first thought. I'd think of is like, oh, how can I get out of this situation, right? Because otherwise, I think some people are gonna get stuck with a bad bill of goods.
What's one thing that you did they never expected you would do?
Honestly, I think our success. I mean, I don't think they did. I don't know if they didn't expect it, but they. I think it was valued to some extent. I mean, as far as when you have an outsider come in and find success, I hope people saw that you can learn from that, right? Like if I hire a guy right now and he's an all-star, like I don't look at it like, get out of here, buddy. I would look at it like, what's this guy doing? Like what's he doing different? Like what's his approach? It's a much smaller version of it, but I think that our success out of the gate was what wowed everybody.
Last question. What do you want every contractor to get away from your story? What lesson?
I feel like there's a lot. It's one of those situations. If you're a franchise owner for any of the franchisees out there, there's a handful, and there's probably gonna be more starting up. I would definitely dig into that. Your FDDs, because those things that's your guidelines, but it's both sides, right? Like both sides of the party have to oblige by that. That'd be the starting point. And also, as far as the world of the private equity stuff, even in this weird situation that I've got, I still wish everyone well. And I don't think that private equity is just the death of roofing. I do think that as time goes on, we're going to see a lot more situations like mine, because there's a lot of partnerships in roofing companies. Like there's, people say, hey, go open up an office over here and 2 states away. And those partnerships, those are probably just napkin agreements these people have, And it's like, well, you might have built up a $10 million territory for a partner of yours, but if private equity comes and buys you out, it's not really yours.
Good point.
You don't get to make a bunch of decisions on that.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I know you have a gift for me. Do you want to show what it is?
Yeah.
I can just bring it to the mic.
Let me bring that bad boy over here.
Looks like a belt.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to have this for the next fight night or not, but
Nobody wants to fight me anymore. Actually, I'm lying. I have someone wants to fight me right now.
yes.
Look at that.
I might fight you right now, I guess. I mean, you got to win the belt. You got to beat me up. And we got roofing insights.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That'll look good on that shelf in there. Weird backgrounder for why I even found someone that can make, like that's like a legit belt too. And number one roofing channel is some paper on that. Being from Arkansas, there's people that want to be pro wrestlers, right? You see it on Facebook all the time.
Yep.
And I remember I was looking at someone's
so
photos.
heavy.
It is. It's legit. It's heavy.
What's your background? Are you like in the fighting? Let's have a seat. Are you in the fighting or?
No, I enjoy it. As far as I love the world of UFC, boxing, stuff like that. But aside from a few maybe bar scuffles here and there, that's about it. But cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, growing up in the South, pro wrestling was always on TV, Memphis wrestling, all that kind of stuff. And dude, I saw someone on Facebook though, like some random mud dirt wrestler, whatever it is, I don't know. And I remember thinking like, how did that guy get that belt? Like that looks legit. And so that either way, I asked one guy, I said, where'd you get that? Oh, so and so made it. Anyways, I finally found this guy that makes those, and yeah, it's I thought that was pretty random and looks good on the shelf though.
Thank you, brother, so much.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
This is awesome, and thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely, I've been talking with you, man. I appreciate it.